Amsterdam Kitchen. Join us live on Saturday mornings
from 10 till 12
on Broadcast Amsterdam.
Or catch up later.
It's all online.
Welcome to Keren Rubenstein of Keren's Kitchen blog, sourdough classes and the Amsterdam Cooks Facebook group.
Wow. Hello.
That was a good list.
Yes.
Yes. So you're not too far to come as well, being a resident of Oude West in Amsterdam.
No, I actually live like 5 minutes walk away from here, so it's pretty close.
Brilliant. Now, so I discovered you and heard about you because I found the Amsterdam Facebook group, Amsterdam Cooks. And it's a great group. But then you also run the blog, Keren's Kitchen, which, tell our listeners which of those came first.
Definitely the blog. Yeah. So what happened is that we were making cookies, me and some of my colleagues, and there were sugar cookies that you paint on, for Christmas. And they were asking for recipes and to send it to their families. So I just opened a page and I put the cookies on there. And I started getting a lot of people entering the blog. And I really like photography as well, so it kind of came together.
Yeah, that works really well, actually.
Yeah.
But food photography is hard, I find.
Yeah, I don't know. Amsterdam is so good at that because you have such beautiful window lighting here.
Oh, yeah, that's true, actually.
Sometimes I actually tell people that I moved to Amsterdam for the lighting because, it's just beautiful lighting.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, think about it. You've got these massive windows, haven't you? It's such an Amsterdam thing, and then it's just flooding in.
Yeah, and also a lot of famous painters are not coincidentally from Amsterdam. Yeah, that's really nice. There we go. So it kind of got to, the two came together. I think I was just looking for foodie friends around town, English-speaking foodie friends. I opened the group. I never really thought what would happen. And actually, I think we're over 4,000 people now. Home cooks, professional chefs, people who just like food, really a variety from everywhere, lots of expats. So you see a lot of different dishes from different countries and continents, and it's really, really nice.
It's really interesting. It's a really good idea as well, because I think food really brings people together. It's just a common shared thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Sure.
And how long ago was that then?
It was a few years ago when I opened the group, but I think only in the last couple of years it's really been becoming bigger. Yeah, we used to do a lot of meetups, so potlucks where we would all meet together and we would have a variety of dishes everywhere, from Brazil to Vietnam, just on the table. It was really, really nice. Yeah, now with the new regulations, so we can't do that, but we'll try to do it online as best as we can.
It will come. Shout out to anyone from the Facebook group listening, Amsterdam Cooks. I agree. It's so vibrant, and it's like the sort of place where you can just dip in and people are asking, where do you get this ingredient or things like that, swapping ideas, looking for recipes, and it's just easy. It's I'm trying to use Facebook less. I don't know, for certain reasons, but I think this is one of the groups that would keep me on it.
Yeah. Facebook is really good for groups, I always find, especially a food one like this.
Yeah, to get inspiration or even knowledge. Every time I get into a new project, whether it's macarons or things that are more complex, I just dive into those groups and you can get so much knowledge, seeing people's successes and people's failures, and I gain a lot of knowledge. But I totally get what you're saying. I think everyone is trying to kind of tone down on social media, especially since we're all been at home a lot and maybe spending some more time on it. But Amsterdam Cooks is definitely very laid back, very open, very accepted group. So I think that's...
And I mean, 4,000 members in a group, then, it gets a bit big. It's not how, to manage and things like that from your point of view. And what I noticed recently is I think there was a discussion, wasn't there, about the amount of promo that would go on within the group and stuff. And you see that in many other Facebook groups. Sometimes there comes a moment where you say, I don't like rules, but, and you did that really well. Do you want to share with the listeners how that went about?
Yeah, so I think as the group became bigger and also a lot of people in the food industry or home cooks starting to sell food from home, there were a lot of different posts around it. And I just put out a question in the group and asked people, how do you feel about it? What do you want to see? And I just kind of gathered everyone's perspective, which was also similar to mine, because I do really feel that it's a community. And so any kind of, I call them guidelines instead of rules, because I'm not really a rule kind of person. But so what we did is we just said, all these individual posts selling food, they kind of get lost within the Facebook algorithm. Why don't we do a marketplace or like a market post? So we do that every Sunday. it's a virtual market. Hopefully one day we'll actually get to do a real market.
I'm sure you will.
But now everyone can just post whatever they're selling, whether it's food or products or any kind of things, projects that they're working on. And that post is just pinned to the top of the group the whole week.
Yeah.
So every time you're craving something and you don't want to order from your just normal,
that's such a
regular
good
places.
idea. And are people selling stuff like, are these just home cooks or are these like professional chefs that are selling things?
So some of them are professional chefs. We even have Gal El Matil. They are professional chefs from Moshik, Rot's restaurant that recently closed down. So 2 Michelin star restaurant.
Wow.
And they make home food. I haven't tried it yet, but it looks amazing. And you have many different kind of home chefs like Peter, he does Hungarian kitchen, soups and goulash, and really delicious stuff. And bakers, but also people who sell their products, like Smikkel, they sell special kind of salts, all kind of flavored salts, and really big variety. Okay. So it is kind of like going to the market, and I love going to markets.
Yes,
I think
so
it's
do
one
I.
of my favorite activities. So.
Yeah, so it's only been going, I don't know, maybe 2 months or so.
Yeah.
And it's really great because things can be promotional, but it's like I want to hear about those opportunities. I want to discover places where I can buy different foods and different kind of takeout options. So,
and we were just talking about social media and how much work it is to promote yourself, even creating the content, but also just get in front of people's eyes so they can actually see that you exist.
Yeah.
And this is really something that can push these businesses up and get some more.
Yeah, it's really nice to support these up and coming businesses.
Yeah.
And you've also got this perfect audience right there because the people that you're appealing to are already interested in food, aren't they?
Yes, they are looking for new foods, new flavors.
It's the perfect combination.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an amazing idea. I love it.
And it's extra local, really local. I think maybe before the Sunday market even, there was a post on the Amsterdam Cooks Facebook group from, they were doing, I think, pop bitch chicken or something, Korean chicken, fried chicken. And so she was just saying they do a kind of pick up or drop off in 2 different locations in the city. And it's like, it's really random. It's not every week. It's just this week I'm doing it. And I tried that. And it's obviously, I think, it's a girl who's studying and she's doing it every now and then, but not regularly. And it's a very flexible way. And it was really nice.
Yeah.
Shout out to all of those people on Amsterdam Cooks. Loving that group. So has it kind of taken on a life of its own, I guess? No.
Yeah. I really feel that I am less active and there's a lot of content going on. A lot of people doing really special stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you fit it all in? Because, you work and everything, and then you have your blog, and then we'll talk about the sourdough courses. Do you have to be really disciplined? Can it take over your life?
I think it's kind of combining it with my life as it is because I already love cooking and I love taking pictures. So it's just a matter of really finding the time to upload everything online. But when you get all that positive feedback and, people encouraging you and liking what you make and make it at home and telling you, this was so easy, my kids loved it. And that's really motivating. So it kind of makes it easy to just fit in with the rest of the stuff. When you love doing something, it just becomes much easier to find time.
Yeah, we were just talking about her dish that she made last night because I was looking on Instagram, really hungry.
We've got to talk about that. Oh yeah, Keren's brought us something. I totally forgot. I'm going to go and get it, listeners.
I'll tell you about this food. Yeah, so I couldn't sleep last night and being, not being able to sleep, scrolling on Instagram, and then I see Keren's made this amazing what was it? What's the name of it?
It doesn't really have a name. It was a total fridge raid improvisation. I was cooking the whole day and I needed to feed my husband and kids. So I was like, okay, what I'm going to make? So I had that bag of pasta lying around. But
do you please tell the listeners about it? Because you can definitely tell it better than me.
Yeah. So I just made a tomato sauce and some big tubes of pasta. And I filled them in with ricotta and mint and basil and some Kalamata olives and lemon zest. Just mix that all in and into the oven.
All standing up, all the pasta tubes were stood up.
Like soldiers.
Yes. Yeah. And just into the oven with some more cheese on top.
I want to move into your house.
Watching my Instagram late at night is dangerous. So good move there.
It really was. And I went downstairs and I was like, I need to eat something.
Oh my goodness. The mint must have, I love mint, and that must lift
Yes,
it.
yes.
I'd never
really.
thought about doing that.
It's such a little addition, but it gives you such a nice little refreshment in the bite. Yeah.
Do you have any tips for looking after basil? Because I saw that you had some really healthy looking basil.
Oh, it was just new.
Oh,
really.
I've killed so many.
Well, actually, my brother gave me a really good tip that if you cut it right above where the little leaves are and you actually harvest from it all the time, then it stays healthy. If you just let it be, it doesn't like that. It wants you to take more of it.
Okay,
so
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try that. I mean, I heard that you're meant to like split them up.
Yeah. I saw that as well in some videos.
Okay,
But,
I'm going to try that one. Thank you. Good tip.
Good luck.
But listeners, lemon zest, I've been putting that in so much.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
pasta dishes, I'll put it in to lift it.
Yeah. And really everything that has lemon or orange or anything, also add the zest. It's just the same flavor, just with a different variation. Yeah, it's really nice.
Well, listeners, are you getting hungry? Maybe some ideas for your dinner. What are your favourite discoveries from the Amsterdam Cooks Group?
Well, so many different dishes from different countries that I never came across, or combinations, and people, mostly the people. You know, people are really great, very open. I think also food is a great icebreaker when you talk with people.
Yeah.
And it gets really personal because food is also a lot of times related to memories, to family, to experiences. And when you start talking about food, those really personal moments always come up. So as you said, food connects people, and I love connecting with people and talking with people. So I think for me, that's the best discovery. I made a really good friends through the group, especially as an expat in Amsterdam. You know, you always try to find people that are not necessarily from your home country and that you can connect with. And I think this was a great platform to do that. So that's one of my biggest takeaways, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, we used to have a smaller group, a bit similar, called Ghetto Gethers, run by Lauren. And I didn't know any of them before I came across it. I think I saw it on Meetup. And much smaller, but I still met a lot of friends through that. And it was great. And, you're inviting people into your houses and stuff. And when people are presenting their food dishes, a lot of the time there's a very personal story behind it. Thanksgiving, all the Americans get really teary. It's quite funny. Shout out to Lauren and to Kadar and Verity. I met through a food group like that where we were meeting up. Still friends now. We got Kadar on the radio every week, which is great.
That's so nice.
If there's people listening and say, what is this? Well, how do I get onto this Facebook group? It's very simple. So it's facebook.com. The group is called Amsterdam Cooks. So you can go to /groups/Amsterdam Cooks. Or if you do a search, I'm sure it will come up. We've got Pinterest links after the show on our blog post for this. What's sweet, actually, is it's such a community. This year they're doing a Secret Santa, aren't they?
Yeah, this is our first year doing it. I'm so excited. I did it with another food group in previous years. Yotam Ottolenghi food groups.
Yes.
Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
And I got really cool packages, and I made really cool packages. It's so nice to kind of...
It's a really nice idea.
Yeah, you snoop around someone's profile that you don't know, and you see if they have kids or what they like to eat or what they're interested in. And you create this package, and then eventually they discover it's you. And that was really great.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's Amsterdam. You can maybe even drop it off by bicycle with your Santa outfit on. No need to reindeers. That sounds fantastic. Rush out and join the Amsterdam Cooks. I think I'm going to bring a bit of fun and joy to our lives. Because most of us are not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's a good way to lift up the holiday spirits and do some sharing and meeting.
Yeah.
So then that's the Facebook group. Let's remind everyone about your blog, Keren's Kitchen. So what's your specialisms, would you say then? Would you kind of focus or err towards like baking or family cooking or a particular cuisine?
So I started from baking. I made a lot of French patisserie style, what we brought here today. But I think in the recent year or a couple of years, I've gone more deeply into cooking, and I really enjoy that as well. So there isn't a specific theme. The blog is kind of like my recipe notebook as well. Every time I want to make it again, I just go into my blog. So every time I make something that I really like, I just add it to the blog and I say, okay, this is just really good and I want to share it with other people. And I always add all the different steps of how to make it, because I feel a lot of times recipes just tell you, you know, how to do things. But when you see the consistency of the batter or the sauce that you're making, that's really, really helpful.
Yeah.
So I just, when I cook it at home, I have my camera next to me in the kitchen, no special lighting or special setups. I just take pictures of what I'm doing, add them to the blog, and then just anyone can make them at home. So there's a large variety, but there's definitely a lot of Middle Eastern influences. I love Middle Eastern food and the different flavors, you know, we're talking about lemon or mint. Those things can really boost it up.
And how did you actually get into cooking in the first place?
It's a good question. Actually, I was in photography for many, many years, but not into food photography. I did beauty and fashion photography back in Israel and portrait photography. I really like people and talking to people and taking pictures. But when I met my husband and he moved from Israel here to Amsterdam to live with me, you know, I just wanted to cook for him all the time and to feed him. And I started to do that a lot. And I love taking pictures. So I did that at the same time. So somehow it kind of evolved more and more, and I got really curious about the different flavors. I always loved to eat and understand the dishes, but really to cook and go more in depth, I wasn't into it back then. But yeah, it's a lot of fun now, and I get to learn so many different things.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm going to point our listeners to one particular recipe on your blog, on the blog kerenruben.com. It's the potatoes, and they've got a light batter, and you deep fry them.
Yes.
It's very similar to a dish from my childhood,
Really?
which my nanan, my grandmother in Yorkshire, would cook us, and she would call them scallops. Now I forget what you call them on your side.
Puffy.
Yeah.
Puffy
Potatoes.
yeah, puffy potatoes.
And they're so puffy, but they're so nice. And I know what they're going to taste like. I think you add a little bit of spices in the batter.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that because it's just brought back memories.
So it's a potato that's
very thin slices.
Yeah, like with a mandolin, and then you put it in batter and you deep fry it, and the batter kind of puffs up around it. And this is actually something that you will eat at a falafel stand in Israel. Not every falafel stand has, so if you know, you know. But some of them have it, and it's so good. So it's just in your pita with your falafel and all the salads and all the tahini on it, and some of those fried potatoes. That's just one of the best bites you can have.
So good.
Yeah.
I'm going to totally try that. And I'm also going to try in this musical break the goodies that Keren has cooked for us. So tell us what we are getting, but not our listeners.
These are cannelés, and this is a French pastry. It's actually pretty, you have to be very gentle when making it. It's a lot of things can go wrong, but it has a really crispy exterior and a really creamy and custard-like interior.
I just squashed it and I felt, wow.
Yes, so if you bite into it, it should crisp. Yes,
there you are. Oh,
it's so pretty as well.
Yeah.
It's like perfectly done.
I'm going to enjoy that in the musical break. Thank you, Keren.
My pleasure.
Podcast Amsterdam.
And now you've also got a particular specialism, which the Dutch media also hooked onto this story. A very special way of delivering sourdough, or just, you know, encouraging the sourdough community. Is it something where you were sharing the starter and kind of having a pick up and drop off? Is that right?
Yeah. So the virus started and everyone was at home and asking about sourdough. I saw a lot of people asking about it in the group. So I just started hanging little bags of sourdough starters on my door.
Wow.
No contact. Just come pick up the bag. And I've put quite a few of those in the article that I sent you. You saw the pictures. And actually, my door always looks like that. My neighbors are always puzzled. Well, now they know because they've joined the workshops as well. But so people picked up the bags and said, oh, great. So what do I actually do with it now? This really nice lady, she asked me, what should I do with it? And I said, well, actually, I'm baking bread this weekend. So if you want, I can just send you a video on WhatsApp every time I do something and just do it at home. If you have any questions, let me know. And we did that. And at the end of the process, she had this beautiful puffy bread and she was so happy with it. And I said, okay, we can do this with more people, you know? So definitely. That can really be cool. So I just started to do those free workshops, basically.
I think Sorry, I was just realising. The scaffolding people are back.
Oh, yay.
When the first time Lizzie came on the
only
show,
come when I'm here.
they were here putting it up, and now they literally have a hammer and banging
timing.
it.
Yeah.
It's coming, guys.
They're supposed to be taking it down, so I'm like, why do you need to bang it?
Yeah.
There's so
Anyway.
many of them.
Anyway, if you hear the background noises, we've got scaffolding being taken down right outside the window.
Yeah.
Love them.
Please ignore it.
So no, that's fantastic that. And then they published you in the paper, and they want to hear more.
That's really cool.
I was invited actually to a lot of Dutch radio show, but I was so not confident with my Dutch.
Can you speak? Oh, so you can speak Dutch
I can kind of, if I really
Okay,
have
yeah.
to, but to talk
on radio.
about,
It's
the things that you believe in and think about, and
Yeah,
that's maybe
that's
too
true.
complex for me.
well, lucky you're here.
Yeah.
We feel
Lucky
privileged
me.
to have you.
What do you think is it about sourdough that it's been so popular during the lockdown?
Well, first of all, I think bread is very basic, and that's also why it was very important for me to keep these workshops for free and the starters for free, because it's just flour and water, and everyone can and should be able to do it at home. I think having the bread is an amazing thing, because fresh bread at home, everything from the smell lingering in your house when you take it out of the oven, and breaking bread together with your family is always very, very special.
Yeah.
But I think the process itself is very mindful, very therapeutic.
Yes.
It's time consuming in the fact that it takes some time, but you don't actually have to be active with it all the time. Normally you will just you mix it, you do a fold or two every half an hour to an hour. So even if you're working, you just need a minute to go to the kitchen, do a fold. So I think it's something that you can also incorporate in your life. And what I feel from the workshop is that it really gives people a sense of achievement, because it looks very complicated, even though it's such a simple end product, you would say.
Yeah.
But it really gives people a sense of, overcoming something that
It's just
always
quite
sounded-
cool, isn't it? To
Yeah.
like instead of going to Albert Heijn and buying one.
Oh yeah, and once you start
Make
making
your own.
it, you
Addictive.
can't go to supermarket bread ever again.
Yeah.
It's really, really
Yeah, I
hard.
can
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah.
I'm wondering if it gets competitive.
I think so, a little bit.
Like who does the best sourdough? Oh yes, of course. Here's I'm gonna let Hans finished half of the. Now what are these called again that we had at the break?
Cannelé.
Cannelé. They're called cannelé.
Get the
Hans.
review from Hans.
You are lucky. Those. Can I just say, listeners, those were gorgeous.
They were amazing.
Lovely,
Thank you
spongy
so
and
much.
Really, really good.
Thank you.
You can tell you're a very accomplished cook, actually.
Yeah. So you've never had any professional training?
No.
See, that's amazing
Yeah.
because I don't know, like when I've watched on your Instagram, the techniques that you have, it just seems like, okay, she's a chef.
That's really what's nice about online communities. You can really learn a lot
think
from
so,
other
yeah.
people, and actually everywhere. On YouTube, you can watch a video about how to do everything. Making
Yeah.
cannelés to building your own mini house. It doesn't matter what you
Yeah.
want to do. Full
Just Google it.
instructions. Yeah.
So do you have any particular YouTubers or online chefs or whatever you call them that you've
Yeah.
recommend?
So there are a lot of bakers that I follow, and I actually try to follow different tags on Instagram. So
Okay, yep.
things that interest me. But yeah, there are a few different bakers that I really like to follow, or different bakeries. Sometimes even just watching someone fold the bread over and over
So
again.
relaxing.
Yeah, it's very relaxing.
Could watch it all day.
Oddly satisfying.
Is that called ASMR or something?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it has
When-
an
yeah, you-
acronym now. Yeah.
You get out there, all you sourdough bread makers, and it's a whole sideline. Shout out to Kiko Mara, who likes gorgeous sourdough breads, but he loves to put them on. I'm like, doesn't it look like the last one? How is it different? But do you then spot subtleties? Like, oh, look at the
Okay,
crust
yeah.
on that.
Yes.
It's very specific, right?
It's very hard to live with that, I have to say. Every little
burden.
thing. Yeah, like yesterday I had a friend over who's a chef, and he tasted the bread, and I told him, it's a little bit overproofed. And he said, this is overproofed? Yeah, I feel it. I just know it.
Got to be critical though.
Yeah.
'cause
And
not gonna
especially
progress.
with really gentle pastries or bread, even with sourdough, every little thing can affect it. The temperature in
Yeah.
your house, the flour that you use, the temperature of your water, even your mood that day, I think somehow influences the outcome of the bread.
And do you make any other breads? Because have you tried making I was watching also last night, this beetroot focaccia.
Yeah.
Do you make many focaccias? 'Cause
Yeah, I
that's-
make.
Is that difficult?
Yeah, it's focaccia has a lot of water, so it's very high hydration. So you
Yeah.
need to be not afraid of the kind
The
of
wet dough, right?
Yeah, it's very wet,
Messy.
Yeah, and you need to proof it in the fridge for quite a while for the
Okay.
flavors to develop. But it's amazing. I love
Yeah.
making focaccias with all kind of toppings.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can really use anything,
Yeah,
can't you?
actually, the stuff that I brought for you here today, the confit garlic, is something that I use on focaccia a lot. Yeah, it goes
Please
really
tell
well.
us about these. They look amazing.
Yeah, so we've Keren's bought, not only has she bought a really big loaf, which we must take a photograph before we unwrap it.
Yes, I'll do that
We're
now.
going to do, well, maybe we'll break for another song, and we're going to do a
Photo
live bread cutting of a nice loaf that that Keren's bought for us. And
Yay.
we've got 3 very interesting things to go with it.
Podcast Amsterdam.
So you're back with the Amsterdam Kitchen. We're with Keren from Keren's Kitchen and the Amsterdam Cooks Facebook group, and we've been cutting into the sourdough. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
There was a long list of things on this because it's a very special, not an ordinary sourdough loaf.
No,
No,
not your
it's-
basic sourdough.
Yeah, so I like to experiment, just try different stuff. And this is actually my first time trying this combination. So this is a whole wheat sourdough with honey and ground hazelnut, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and some sesame.
Oh my god.
Loving the seeds. You don't get that many seeds on a sourdough. I think, often plain, but this is
Yeah.
great. I love seeds, the sesame seeds. But did you say ground hazelnuts?
Yes, my favorite nut. They add a lot of flavor, so I really like that.
Wow, it's so good.
Thank you.
It's really spongy. Like,
Yeah, it's very soft, and that's why I like all these additions, because you can really wipe up some balsamic
Good soup or
yeah,
something.
Yeah, or anything with it.
So-
yeah, really.
And the smell, listeners, very nice
oh
smell.
yes, very nice. What do you usually? You said you haven't made it like this before.
Yeah,
How
so
do you usually?
I really experiment. There are a lot of factors to how much whole wheat, how much white flour, how much water would you add, how much starter do you add. So if you add less starter, it takes longer to proof, and so it becomes more sour to develop the flavor. So there's a lot of playing around, and sometimes I forget about it for even 20 minutes or half an hour, and the bread will already turn out different. And that happens a lot with the little 2-year-old at home. So sometimes you get distracted. But yeah, so I just try to add coffee flour honey to this one, and with the ground seeds in it.
But that's true. I was sure. So I'm not going crazy, because some sourdough tastes overwhelmingly sour.
Yes.
And some is really mild.
It varies.
And I was just thinking, am I going crazy because it tastes so different? Do you know what they should introduce, Keren? A kind of, just extra strong or extra sour or mild sour. Just
a
a
scale.
simple label
That's
like
brilliant. Yeah, definitely.
Because I
like
steer
that.
away. The extra sourness has put me off sometimes.
Oh, really?
And then I'll have some sourdough maybe in a restaurant. I'm like, is this sourdough also? And actually, I actually quite like this, and I get confused.
Yeah, so I think also sourdough is a really confusing name for actually what is natural yeast, and as opposed to processed yeast or commercial yeast. And it doesn't necessarily have to be sour. You can make amazing soft Japanese breads, sweet breads, challah, bagels. It doesn't have to be sour. It's all about how you maintain your starter and how long you let the dough ferment for. So the longer, the more sour it gets. And some people like that, So having some kind of scale for it would definitely be very good, so you know what you're
It's a
buying.
good idea.
Yeah.
And on the sourdough, so I feel bad because all those listeners, they cannot taste it. But how would, if they were interested in the sourdough workshops or picking up a starter from you, what's the best way, do you think, to keep tags on that?
Yeah, so if you follow my Instagram, Keren Ruben, or you join Amsterdam Cooks, I publish every time we do a new workshop. Before we used to do them every weekend, but now I'm trying to doing every other weekend or other weekend.
Oh, that's quite regular.
Yeah. I try to keep it
Very regular.
up to 20 people, so it can be personal. Having people make this complex bread at home is also a bit scary because you're responsible for their success. So we start on Friday and we bake the bread only on Sunday. So during the whole weekend, people trust you to just do what I say or what I do. And I feel very responsible for or their happiness at the end, or, if they're disappointed. That's also, I take that really personally. So normally when I do these weekends, I'm like on edge. Like my husband always tells me, chill and
Marie's starters. But then how do you... maybe I missed it, but how do you workshop? Like, do you use like Zoom, or are you using...
No, we do everything on WhatsApp. So it's not really live.
It's just...
Yeah, because everyone has their own distractions at home. And, the most...
That's difficult, yeah.
Yeah, the most satisfying people for me to join the workshop are people that tell me at the end, I really needed this break from my kids and from my home and from my life. And I can just be in my kitchen. Yeah. Yeah, so we do it on WhatsApp. You just pick up a starter from my door. And then on Friday, I feed a starter. We do it together. I explain what I do. And I just send a video, everything that I do.
Perfect, yeah.
And then anyone can do it at home as well.
Then.
Yeah. And you also get all the content. So basically, you can do it over and over again. You see all the videos. You can ask any questions. People do videos of their own dough at home and take pictures. And that's how we do it.
Wow.
So what else have we got here? Because this bread is perfectly fine to eat. I could eat loads of this without anything added because it's so flavorful. So we have the confit garlic.
Yes, and confit cherry tomatoes with balsamic vinegar, some shallots, rosemary.
Wow.
And the third one is some whipped brown butter. So it's very smoky, nutty.
What makes it brown? Is it a kind of a burnt thing then?
Yeah,
or something?
you burn the butter basically, and then let it all the little milk solids become brownish, so you can see it's kind of freckled, all kind of little spots there. That's what gives it the nutty flavor. And then I just let it cool down, harden up, and then the following day I whip it and add some smoked Maldon salt. And that's it basically.
It's really cool.
You whip it with a whisk, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then how do you make this garlic one?
So you can do this in a pot with olive oil on a very, very low heat. And when it starts to really bubble, you need to take it off the heat, let it cool down, and then let it bubble again. And it takes a few hours because it has to be in a very steady heat.
Yeah.
But I do these in a sous vide. So I put them in a jar, in a sous vide with water.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty easy. They just sit there for 5 hours, and I put them in the fridge. The following day, they're ready.
And what do you usually use this for? Is it just mainly on bread?
It can be in any. The confit garlic can be on any kind of sauce bread. On my focaccia, I love putting it. It really combines with everything where you want a kind of subtle, creamy, buttery garlic. It can work with so many different things.
Tastes so good.
Garlic's very good. I love the tomato compote as well. So I guess that's some vinegar in there?
Yeah, there's some balsamic vinegar in there.
But it's not too dark. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. I think the balsamic kind of, the oil floats to the top and the balsamic sinks to the bottom. So it's clear and you can see all the beautiful tomatoes.
It's nice red colours. I think it would make a nice Christmas present for someone.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Can we get the recipe on your blog?
Well, not yet, but I guess I'll put it in there.
You have to do it now.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much that you've been with us a whole hour, Keren. It's great. There's so many delightful
for having me.
things. So shout out, obviously, your website, KerenRuben.com. We've got links on our Pinterest boards and on our blog post, broadcastamsterdam.nl after the show. And just shout out as well to the Amsterdam Cooks Facebook group. Thanks for listening, everybody. And I think we're going to have you back on the show for updates, maybe when the meetups
Sure,
start.
anytime.
I think you're going to be doing lots of exciting new things. I feel like you've just got so many ideas, so they're just going to keep coming.
I do, yeah.
We've always wanted to do a live cook-along on the Amsterdam Kitchen.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and also in the group there are many really talented bakers and artists and people that make really, really delicious stuff. So
don't forget about that Sunday market because we don't have a physical market to go to right now. Let's all get on there on Sunday.
Let's do it.
We'll see you there and say hi.
Say hi if you see us.
Thank you very much for joining us, Keren.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, had a great time. Thank you.
Broadcast Amsterdam.
Amsterdam Kitchen. Join us live on Saturday mornings
From 10 till 12.
on Broadcast Amsterdam.
We'll catch up later.
It's all online.
Broadcast Amsterdam, your local radio station, 24/7 and on demand. Or on broadcastamsterdam.nl.